My name is Guanxi. I'm a China business coach, trainer, and advisor, but more importantly, I'm an ABC. That's American-born Chinese. When you are facing adversity or going through turning points in your own life, it can help you maybe create a larger perspective. At the intersection between America and China, I'm concerned about the lack of cultural awareness on both sides. So I started having conversations with my unborn son. I want to try to explain our world in context in order for him to make better sense of his world. And I want him to develop a healthier attitude, mindset, and approach towards anyone from a different culture. I crashed my hand over the glass and I severed several tendons and nerves in my hand. Welcome to Season 2 of Generational ABC Podcast, another series of conversations between me and my unborn son, one ABC to another. What I try to do is I try to look at each incident in foresight, understanding that no matter what the crisis is, if you project that journey out in foresight, there will be positive things that come from these type of turning points in your life. Hey, little buddy. It's your father again. Getting used to doing this every day, once a day, sometimes twice a day. I think in this series of vlogs or podcasts or whatever you want to call it, I want to start talking about turning points in my own life and how they have kind of helped me evolve to become the person that I am, and maybe provide you a little kind of context. So when you are facing adversity or going through turning points in your own life, it can help you maybe create a larger perspective. And obviously the culmination of what I've done over the past, my life, 30 years, 40 years, has really led me to kind of helping people, both on the American side and on the Chinese side, navigate the complexities of cultural differences. And you know what cultural differences can disrupt, and how are some ways that we can actually overcome cultural differences based on things that we can control. So yeah, I mean, these are all kind of unscripted, so I don't really know what I'm going to talk about, other than I want to try to think about other turning points in my life. The first relevant one obviously was on the last one, where I talked about going to 1 year of school in Taiwan, where I kind of started developing the foundations for speaking Mandarin. Obviously there were a lot of other turning points. For example, when I was 16, I was walking with a group of friends in the dark. So we were out, it was dark, and I had a glass in my hand, a glass of, I don't remember what it was. And I was walking, and somebody must have said something, and I turned around, and another one of my friends had bent over to tie a shoe. And to make this long story short, I tripped over him and I crashed my hand over the glass. And I severed several tendons and nerves in my hand. At the time, it happened so quickly and it was in the dark, I actually didn't even realize that it happened. I was just upset that I broke my glass and lost my drink. But then as I was walking further, again, it was dark. I was shaking my hand and trying to dry my hand. I was like, why is my hand still wet? And then I finally came to an area where there was a light, and when I looked down, two of my fingers were they had kind of like fallen down because the tendons and the nerve had been disconnected. So there was actually, so that took a long time to rehabilitate surgery-wise when you have severed tendons and scar tissue. And what that derailed was my dream to become a professional baseball player. When I was growing up, I started off playing Little League baseball and just growing up, and it turns out I was actually very gifted and talented in baseball. I was always an all-star. In fact, it was back then, you didn't have a full rotation of pitchers that you do now in the major leagues. So when we were in the all-star tournament, I either was the starting pitcher or the relief pitcher. And when I wasn't pitching, I was playing either shortstop or center field. So I was always one of the more talented baseball players. And growing up in that environment, my dream was to become a professional baseball player. And then when I had the injury to my hand, I was playing baseball in high school back at that time period, and I couldn't really grip a bat. Baseball has offense and defense, and I couldn't actually grip a bat because this hand wouldn't close all the way. So that was really kind of a turning point. I don't know, in hindsight, when you're going through it, you're disappointed and all of these things, but it helped you. Ultimately, you make choices based on this, and your life takes off on a different path. That isn't the turning point necessarily that led to who I am today and what I do today, but it's just one in a series of turning points that ultimately it's your journey in hindsight, and that journey takes you to who you are and where you are today in life and in your career. And I think one of the things that I try to do is I try to look at each incident in foresight, understanding that no matter what the crisis is, if you project that journey out in foresight, there will be positive things that come from these type of turning points in your life. And this kind of, now that I think about it, this kind of relates to kind of something that's very cultural for Chinese people, and that is, and I'm not, obviously a lot of people who teach Chinese culture and Chinese language talk about this, but it's really that every crisis may be an opportunity, and that's a good perspective to have, because it helps you better manage the crises in the moment. And crises in Chinese is two Chinese characters that are pronounced wei ji. Okay, so wei ji means crisis, but the way that the Chinese language is constructed is just certain words and meanings are just pairs of characters. So if you take the characters of wei ji, it basically, let's see, how does that even work? Okay, it goes like wei ji and then ji hui. So the last character in crisis is the first character of opportunity. So it's wei ji, which is crisis, and ji hui, which is opportunity. And a lot of that kind of, you will discover nuances of that in Chinese culture, in the way that they deal with crises, but also it's generally a longer term perspective, which would translate into having more patience and also being able to live with more uncertainty. So a lot of times when we are communicating or negotiating with Chinese people, it's hard to align with the same rationale or reasoning. because Westerners are generally more logical reasoning. So the path to get to the destination is through a sequence of steps, point A to point B to point C, to ultimately reaching your destination. But I think maybe culturally, a lot of Chinese people don't really think that way. And that's really, really cultural. This is getting really nuanced. Obviously, there hasn't been any kind of scientific studies on stuff like this. This is just from my experience, not only with my Chinese friends, but also with your mother, who grew up in a very traditional Chinese environment. Just being aware and empathetic to how people may think differently about the same thing and why that happens. And yeah, so completely off topic. I think we were talking about turning points. So it ended up being a discussion about crisis and opportunity. But I think going through the turning points in your life, the crisis that you face, how you deal with them also, and how you look back on those in hindsight and what you learn from those, this will help you develop this kind of different way of dealing with challenges and issues when you are able to look at every crisis kind of like an opportunity that's going to help you for the rest of your life. Okay? Again, we're at Crystal Cove Beach. It's Saturday morning, and I go walking with your mother as much as we can. Today obviously is a day off, so we're at the beach and we're going to go walk along the beach. So we're going to walk along the beach, which means that you're also going to be walking along the beach. You're not going to remember this moment, but I've documented it for you, and someday I will take you here and we'll have fun at the beach. All right? Love you, little buddy. Listen and subscribe on Apple Podcasts,